Good morning. Welcome to vendor session number 1, entitled Diversify Your Security Stack and Maintain MSP Stability. Today, we're lucky to have Amelia Paro, Channel Development Manager of ID Agent, with us to talk about that subject. Amelia was named one of CRN's 100 people you don't know, but you should know for 2020. She's a multi-award winning speaker and a dark web expert and cybersecurity advisor. Amelia was the former business development director at an MSP with 10 plus years in the tech industry. Amelia is also an avid animal rights advocate who in her spare time fights to abolish all puppy mills and supports and promotes animal rescue organizations. Good for you, Amelia. And the goal is to one day soon have them all saved and rescued and not sold through those means. Please adopt and don't shop is the motto. So Amelia, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I am super excited to be here. Thank you, Tony, for that awesome introduction. I appreciate it very much. And yes, always adopt, don't shop. So I'm going to go ahead and get started today. Let me just share the presentation, bring that up. See here. All right, wonderful. Yes, so for the ID Agent session today, excited to be here to talk to you about the new world of digital risk that you are seeing, that your customers are seeing, and the different ways, the different threats, opportunities, and ways that you can position yourself for success, even in the current environment, by diversifying yourself with a security, with this diversified security stack. So my goal today is just to talk a little bit about the threat landscape as it affects you and your customers. And then I'm going to share some quick updates on the ID Agent platforms. And then I'm also going to wrap this presentation up with some success stories and examples in the way that our partners are not just surviving, but thriving even during this economic uncertainty with using our cybersecurity tools. So let's go ahead and get things kicked off. For those of you that aren't aware, ID Agent has a suite of cybersecurity tools built, for MSPs by MSPs, and it includes Dark Web ID, which is our flagship dark web monitoring and alerting tool. BULLPHISHID ID, which is our phishing simulation and cybersecurity awareness training tool, and PASSLY, which is our 3-in-1 identity and access management tool, right? So password management, multi-factor authentication, and single sign-on. And Graphis is a new addition to the cybersecurity suite. It is our automated phishing defense tool. Now, ID Agent, we are the first and most trusted dark web monitoring solution in the market. We were born in the government space and we came out into the channel early 2017. And since then, we have won many, many awards that were voted on by MSPs, by businesses just like yours. One of these awards also includes Best Revenue Generator. So, don't take my word for it, right? We've got awards that, while it looks self-serving, it really is a testament to the success that our partners are having. And just kind of a little quick snapshot on ID Agent. We have over 3,200 partners in around the globe, 4 former MSP CEOs on staff, and over 50% of our customer-facing, our partner-facing staff came from the MSP space. So whether it was someone like me that was, business development, sales and marketing for an MSP, or, service delivery, or, the CEO, we running the whole show. We wanted to make sure that when we brought people over to this side of the house, that they knew intrinsically, had the same experience of what it is, to what it's like to run an MSP. And has the personal knowledge. So I'm not going to read through these line by line, but really these are some key themes that we're seeing in 2020. We started talking a lot about these in the beginning of the year, and then COVID hit, right? And what skyrocketed to the top of the list, obviously, is securing the remote workforce and all of the technological and business implications around this new work from home experience, this new normal, which is a awful phrase, and I promise not to use it again, but it's relevant. So there's a lot of critical takeaways on the slide, and I'm going to be touching on these topics as I go throughout the presentation. Obviously, the pandemic, COVID, changed a lot of things for a lot of people. We're still being impacted, but one of the things that we saw, kind of a paradigm shift, an opportunity that arose out of the pandemic, was this, the 2 times request for security, right? So what does that mean? It means there's a huge opportunity for you because customers are talking about security. They're requesting security. So now is the time to really take advantage of that. Zero trust. This is a concept that we started talking about in the beginning of the year. We will continue to talk about it because it is the operating under the assumption that everybody has been compromised. So as you're going through and you're creating your services for your customers, you have to adopt this mentality that everybody's been compromised. So you have to make sure that the right people have the right secure access to the right machines with the right privileges, and then constantly monitoring for that compromise. And we talk about it so much, and we'll continue to talk about it, not just to protect your customers, but to protect you as well, right? MSPs are under attack. I hope this doesn't come as a shock to anyone, but you guys are the gold mines. Hackers know that if they can get into you, they can get into all of your customers. It's that one-to-many ratio that they are looking for. Supply chain is another big attack vector. Supply chain, your suppliers, your customers' suppliers, the vendors that they engage with on a regular basis. The vulnerabilities that are inherent with having those additional supply chains means that those attacks can go up the chain and affect your customers and affect you as well. One of the ways that, one of the strategies that our partners have been using to bring this zero trust mentality into their own businesses and roll it out to their customers and their customers' suppliers is with a decline of service strategy. And we provide a decline of service template in our partner support materials. But basically what it means, and I'm going to paraphrase here, our template has all the appropriate legalese in it, but it's a formal and documented agreement that says, hey, as your MSP, I stand by the recommendations of the things that I'm talking to you about to better protect your organization. And if you don't want it, that's completely up to you. But you need to make sure that you completely and clearly understand the ramifications of what could happen if something does happen, and then what it's going to cost them for you as the MSP to come in and clean it up afterwards, right? So it puts the kind of the onus in the customer's lap, and it really demonstrates that you are security focused and it's serious to you. And this is just an example of one of our partners that used the decline of service strategy in a successful way. And he sent it out to his current customer base for his entire security bundle, and it netted him, a $216,000 increase within his own book of business. So it's a successful strategy that works. Compliance and privacy laws increasing, right? So, the government eye of regulation has turned to the MSP space, starting with GDPR, CCPA, the New York Shield Act, and now the Louisiana MSP registration law, which means that you as the MSP are responsible for reporting any and all cyber incidences on behalf of your customers. And yes, I know this is just in Louisiana right now, but mark my words, it is going to get rolled out nationwide. So it is something that impacts you as well as your customers. And at the end of the day, compliance is not something that can be put on the back burner anymore. This is a trend that we saw picking up before COVID, and it's not even a surge in phishing attacks anymore. It is now a tsunami. It's a tidal wave. These are terrifying statistics, right? 600% increase in phishing attacks since the beginning of the pandemic, which was only, 6 months ago? That's staggering, right? And then 90% of cyber attacks that result in a data breach begin with a phishing email, which start from compromised credentials, right? So if you think about how, 600%, 90%, that's terrifying. And these are just some examples of COVID-19 related phishing attacks, because threat actors and hackers, they absolutely take advantage of what's going on in the world, right? The current news, the latest psychological hot button that they can use to get us to act without click on that link, right? Without taking that extra 60 seconds or whatever it is to think and check to make sure, is this, legitimate? But honestly, phishing attacks have gotten so sophisticated, it's getting harder and harder to tell what's real and what's not, right? Anybody who knows how to get out on the dark web can do so and purchase a done-for-you phishing kit, which is identical to the real thing, right? So one of these is a fake Facebook landing page. The other one, it's identical, right? So, long gone are the days of the Nigerian prince scams. Another thing that criminals are doing is ransomware as a service, right? So at ID Agent, we are very proud of our easy-to-use multi-tenant dashboard. Hackers are doing the same thing, right? For a percentage of the profits, you can upload a list and purchase a subscription to this ransomware dashboard, where it will report on all of your illicit gains. And then if isn't bad enough, ransomware now comes with its own marketing affiliate program. So now it's even easier for cyber criminals to get paid for doing nothing more than just sharing and spreading ransomware. Now, if you've seen us present before, you've probably seen these slides before, but I just want to pause and encourage you, as the MSP, you are the trusted advisor, and you have got to make sure that you are educating your customers and your prospects and letting them know, hey, the dark web is real, right? So these are the types of content in the slides that we give our partners to use to do just that, right? You don't have to be a dark web expert to be a dark web expert. We guide you, we coach you, we give you all this content and material to really paint the picture for your customers and your prospects that, the dark web is real. It's run like a very well-organized business. It's not just something that we as IT professionals have made up to sell, data backup or whatever it is, right? This is a real job posting. This is a real newsletter. How many of you are utilizing, sending out newsletters to your customer base to keep them informed and keep you top of mind? Criminals are doing the same thing. And when you get that objection from your customers that say, oh, well, I'm just a small business, hackers don't want me. These are two examples of real data dumps from the dark web. That one, as you can see here, it's targeting small businesses, and two, they're in specific geos, right? So it's painting that picture so that your customers really grasp the risk to their organization, to themselves. Now, I'm going to switch really quickly into the ID Agent platform just to kind of illustrate how easy these tools are to use, and really because they are built for MSPs, right? So it's all white labeled for you, multi-tenant environment here. This is where your customers' domains are going to live for the ongoing monitoring, the 24/7 monitoring and alerting for compromises associated with your customer's organization, right? The tool is going to show you compromised emails, passwords, and PII, right? So personally identifiable information that about the people that make up your customers' organizations that is currently in the hands of criminals and out in the dark web right now. We have integrations with popular MSP ticketing tools, so you have those workflow efficiencies. We also provide you access to our prospecting tool, which I can tell you from personal experience because I use it at my old MSP. This prospecting tool is hands down one of the best sales tools you're going to have access to. And it's literally an on-the-spot dark web scan. You plug a domain name into the search bar. It's going to return to you up to 100 of the most recent compromises for that organization, emails, passwords, PII. So if you think about that in your sales, your prospecting efforts, right? Use that to get your foot in the door, to peel back the layers of the onion and identify additional opportunities, not just for security technology, but for the rest of your MSP services as well. You can download we have new enhancements that we just dropped to the platform, right? So when you're in those prospecting efforts, when you run a domain search, it's also going to pull up information on that company that you did a search on. So instead of having to go out and search on the company profile and check their LinkedIn, it's all going to be right here. One of the other things that we also added was a dark web breach catalog. So any and all information about the breaches in the tool, you're going to have at your fingertips. So again, really putting you in the position of that dark web expert. Download the data into a slick, sophisticated report, again, for prospecting efforts or for QBRs. This is a really great story that really illustrates the power of that prospecting tool. And I share this because invariably, you're always going to have that situation where you're in a prospect meeting, you've run the live data report, and you've got a report of the compromises. You're with the prospect, and they go past all the current employees' passwords and emails that are compromised and zero in on that one compromise that was an ex-employee, and then they throw their hands up and say, "Oh, this is wrong. This person isn't with us anymore." And this is a perfect example of why that ex-employee data, compromised data, is still critical. So here's the situation. One of our MSP partners in a prospect meeting, the gal he was meeting with was like, "Oh, that lady hasn't been with us for 2 years." And he asked some follow-up questions. He said, "Well, what was their role?" Come to find out, that ex-employee that hadn't been there for 2 years, her credentials were still active on a banking site that had access to over $1 million in cash, lines of credit, right? So had it not been for that prospecting report, they would not have uncovered that. And so, of course, he signed her up right away to a managed service contract and have this MSP implement an employee onboarding and offboarding procedure to make sure that didn't happen again. Bullfish ID is part of the platform. It's included, is our phishing simulation, cybersecurity awareness training tool. And I think conceptually everybody knows what that is, so I won't get into too much detail. The only thing I want to illustrate is with our phishing emails that you can send out, the test emails, it gives the employees, the end users, the ability to submit data, right? So if you think about the power of that, going back to your customer saying, "Hey, we ran this phishing campaign, and 15% of your employees clicked on the link, 20% opened it, and 12% submitted data. So had this been a real phishing email, you guys would be in trouble right now. So let's talk about how we can mitigate the risks to your organization with testing and training and ongoing monitoring." And this is a success story that illustrates the power of that. MSP partner had a break-fix customer, couldn't convert them, offered to run a free phishing campaign. As you can see, the results are staggering. Signed them up for a 3-year MSP contract worth over $250,000 over the life of the contract. Powered Services is our MSP support portal, and it is free. It's part of the partnership, and it gives you access to a literal library of sales and marketing content, assets, support materials. We also kick it up a notch with our Goal Assist program, which gives you access to a sales and marketing specialist for any and all lead generation, revenue driving activities. They are there for you to lean in on, right? So you want us to jump in and help you close a deal, on a sales call, we can do that. Record videos with you, do a webinar with you. Absolutely, that is what they're there for. So I always strongly recommend to leverage our partnership. We provide so much support. You guys don't have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to standing out in a crowd and getting your messaging out to audiences, even in a time when there's no live events happening, right? I get it. We aren't doing live events. We've all had to pivot into this virtual world. There's a lot of webinars going on. And even though we supported our customers last year with over 400 events, guess what? There is still a way to stand out in the crowd right now. Day in and day out, we are supporting our customers, our partners in virtual activities and the things that they are doing. Let us do a co-hosted cybersecurity webinar with you. We will be the subject matter expert. We do all the heavy lifting. You can be involved as much or as little as you want, as you're as comfortable with. But we create the deck, we present it. We educate your audience and turn all the opportunities over to you. So kind of in conclusion, this is really, kind of just to highlight why MSPs partner with us, right? So, number one, we've got a game changer sales and marketing prospecting tool that I'm telling you changes the nature of the conversation that you're having with prospects and really gets your foot in the door to peel back the layers of the onion and identify additional opportunities, right? Also, there's the ability to offer the monitoring and alerting. We have monitored domain protection. So any customers that you have in the tool, right, they're protected underneath you. The last thing that you want is to have a customer come to you and be like, hey, so I got this this dark web report from somebody else. How come you're not doing this for me, right? So it clearly demonstrates you as a cybersecurity expert because of the guiding, the coaching that we give you. Also puts you on the path of being a next generation cybersecurity MSP, and it helps you adhere to compliance mandates. So we do have some specials that we're running right now. I would love to have all of you come visit me on the booth. We also have a raffle that we're giving away. So come talk to me at the booth. Come talk to me about the cybersecurity things that you're doing for your current customers and how we can help you really have an easy way for you to offer a robust digital risk protection service for your customers, your prospects. And that's all I have today. I think we're got a little bit time left over if anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much, Amelia. Very insightful. We do have some time for questions. We've got at least 8 minutes to be precise. So first question I have here from the audience is from Rodney Hall. Is this a standalone service?
The dark web monitoring, standalone service standalone from the marketing support. Yes, I mean you can purchase the dark web monitoring without the phishing and security awareness training. So if you're already doing, you're sending out simulated phishing emails, you're already doing the security awareness training, and you just want the dark web monitoring, absolutely.
Okay. Another question here is compliance and data privacy laws are increasing. What effect does that have on the security landscape?
Oh boy, well, a huge effect, right? So, the most important thing is how it affects you as the MSP and also your customers, right? If you have customers that are beholden to any compliance mandates, right, with the way that the regulatory initiatives are looking towards, the MSP space, it's going to start falling more and more on the MSP to make sure that the customers are compliant, right? And if not, then the fines are going to be levied against you as the MSP. So, it's become not just to protect the customer, but also to protect yourself as well.
Okay. Another question, how do compromised credentials on the dark web become the starting place for breaches?
Oh, well, lots and lots and lots of different ways, unfortunately. So compromised credentials are really the root of 90% of all cyber incidences, and that is where the data breach originates, right? That's what hackers are looking for. They want to get a hold of your credentials so that they can use it in their targeted spear phishing, their social engineering, their vishing, their smishing. They can send you a malicious payload, get you to click on stuff. I mean, the many different ways that compromised credentials can be used on the dark web is really terrifying, and I could probably talk about it for another 10, 15 minutes. But the ability to monitor and know what credentials are out on the dark web, know what passwords have been compromised, and get an alert when a new compromise for your customers, for you as the MSP, pop up on the dark web. That knowledge is the first step in being able to protect yourself from breaches, phishing, what have you.
Yeah. Okay. They're coming in thick and fast now, which is great. In your presentations, You often bring up zero trust. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes. So zero trust is it's an understanding. It's almost it's a stance that you have to take, right? It's the assumption, operating under the assumption that everybody's been compromised. So if when you're looking at a prospect's network, getting ready to take on a new customer, you have to operate under the assumption that they've already been compromised. Even your current customers, right? You have to operate under the assumption that they've already been compromised. So the steps that you would take, the security controls that you put in place, operating under that assumption is really the assumption that we have to make moving forward, because the threat landscape, the attack vectors is so, there's so many and it's so broad. It just, operating under anything else is very risky to both yourself and your customers.
Okay. Compliance and data privacy laws are increasing. What effect does this have on the security landscape generally?
I think actually you already asked me that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies.
That's okay. I mean, I can go through it again,
My
but
apologies. The end user is the weakest link is a common theme. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so as many other MSPs can attest, it's that fortifying that human firewall, right? Because we're all so busy, we're having to use so many different applications, right? We're all, especially now, work from home, right? I don't know about you, but I'm working harder from home than I was ever in the office. And we've got all these psychological hot buttons, and think about it. An end user, if they're scrolling through their mobile device, it's middle of the night, they're clicking on stuff, they're out of their comfort zone. It just makes it that much easier to click on something they're not supposed to. And without that awareness, without the security training and awareness that would come from us as the MSP, they're not going to know, maybe I shouldn't have clicked on that. And even worse, they're not going to raise their hand and say, I think I may have clicked on something I'm not supposed to. They're just going to keep on scrolling as whatever the impact is affects the rest of the business.
Okay. Well, Amelia, thank you so much for all of those insights. They've been incredibly helpful. The next session, which starts in around 7 minutes, you can get to by clicking on the tile on the side of your screen here. That will be our second vendor session. So we look forward to joining you there. And thank you very much again, Amelia. That was very, very helpful.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. Bye, everyone. See you at the booths.